Hello, welcome to this episode of Lance's Garage. Today we'll be continuing getting this 97 C1500 ready for the road. On the last episode we covered the ball joint replacement, and even though I didn't cover it, I did replace the outer tie rods because they too were shot. Any car that's got the amount of mileage that this has on the chassis is going to need to have these things probably done. The rubber parts wear out, things like that. So after completing that, I checked the steering and some of the slop is gone, but still has about an inch or so, maybe a little bit more of play in the steering wheel. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at replacing the rag joint, which is basically, or also called a steering coupler, which is located at where the steering shaft meets the steering box, the power steering box. I actually had bought one of these for an S10 and didn't end up using it because replacing some of the parts on it fixed the issue. But this is basically what a standard rag joint looks like. It's a rubber coupling between the steering box and the steering shaft to kind of provide some isolation, so that, you know, also takes away some feel, in my opinion. You can buy replacements for these that are just U-joint type, so it's a solid replacement. I've actually got one of those over on the Firebird over here. I've got it's basically a U-joint. Here, I can actually show you. So this is the same thing. It's a coupler, except it's all a U-joint. So this is a solid piece. I don't have to worry about it. You know, this rubber decaying. But basically, what happens is, as these things get old, the rubber wears out. These pins start wearing, and it creates holes. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what's happened here, but what we're going to do is we're going to remove the top bolt. There's one bolt just underneath the brake cylinder there. This shaft collapses after you do the collapses. Allow me to pull this up. Then there's one bolt holding the side here. You can see how it would be. So there's a spline here. This one bolt, you unscrew that, and then there's like a groove in the shaft on the steering box that kind of stays in and keeps it from coming out, like a safety mechanism. So we're going to remove that bolt. Then we're going to pull this out and take a look at the rag joint and see if it is worn. And even if it's, my assumption is that it is, and I'll probably be replacing this anyway. I mean, if it looks, it's a possibility it's new and it's all in the steering box. And we'll go into the adjustment of the steering box if that's needed. After inspection of the rag joint, I'm probably replacing it. Again, I don't know if the rag joint is definitely bad. It's possible that this one has been replaced without, since I'm not the original owner or whatever. Don't know, so you've got to go in and look at it, and it's hard to tell with the joint end. So there's this plastic shield cover on here, right? And that I can't get it past because it's hitting the frame rail. So that's another reason why I need to disconnect the bolt, the top bolt, and move this up, because it'll actually let me be able to see the rag joint. So I probably will be replacing this, but not positive yet. But that's the first step, rag joint. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that top bolt, and then we can go from there. Okay, so I've removed the bolt. It's a 15 nut, and then you're going to need a 13 to get on this weird looking thing. And I think I probably could have not used it as this. I believe this thing would have caught and kept it, this tab would have kept it from going too far, but found that out after the fact. Now, also make sure you get your steering wheel locked. Don't want your keys in or anything, and then you just gotta take and grab it, slide it right down, Comes off like so, and you can see right here just this post collapse so that a wreck doesn't injure you. And now I was hoping I'd have a little bit more upswing, but unfortunately this power steering line is in the way. So I guess now I'm just going to remove the bottom nut on the collar, or on at the box, and we'll go from there. Okay, so just an update. If you move the steering shaft over all the way over against the exhaust manifold here, you can slide this plastic cover piece up and expose the rag joint. And I don't know how good you're going to be able to see it, but if you, so let's see, there's the rag joint. I'm going to turn the box a little bit here, and you can see how much give is in that joint, and it's not moving the steering box. So I think that's where all my play is. So we're going to continue to replace this rag joint. It is definitely worn, and you can see the bolt that we're going to need to pull right here. It's off to the side there, so you're going to remove that bolt. I got to see what it is, and then we might need a pry bar to just gently pull it off. Also, just as some information, I soaked these bolts with PV Blaster last night so that when I came out today, the penetrating oil would get in, and so it'd be easier to get these bolts off and everything. So make sure that you do that in advance of this job before you do it. Okay, so the bolt at the where the steering coupler meets the steering box is an 11mm. Again, highly recommend use this. Makes quick work of it. So now, either this is going to come out easy, or I'm going to be doing a pry bar. I don't know which one yet. I think when I've done these before, it's usually a pry bar. Oh. Alright, so it's kind of off of there. Yeah, you can see it now. There's the hole down there, and you can see it. It's kind of got some play, so I'm just going to pry that out real quick. And then we can work on replacing the rag joint. Okay, I did get the coupler out. I used a small pry bar. It came right off easily. You just can't get leverage without that, but you don't have to. I really put in very little effort. You don't want to go tearing up the steering box. So now that we got this guy out, you can see all that play kind of in the rubber right there. All that play, when you start throwing length and angle and momentum on there, gets way, a little bit like here to here. At this circle, at a steering wheel, is a big difference. So basically, these are held on with two, oh, actually they're riveted on. Great. Okay, so, is there a way to, alright, it looks like maybe I'm going to have to check on this, because I haven't replaced one with a rag joint with a I have before, but it's been a while. So I gotta look and see, because this is all one piece here. Should go on just like this, and it's keyed so that you can't put it back on wrong. There's a flat spot up here at the top, so that when you put it back on, you can't go wrong. Okay, so this piece is riveted on, so you can see the replacement here is bolts. So basically what we're going to do is probably take a Dremel and cut into here, and basically just with a cutting bit and just cut into here. This whole piece is going to come off once we do this. We don't want to damage this side, because this part stays with the steering shaft and is permanent. So you want to cut it on this side or drill it out on this side. I'm going to cut, because I think that would be much better than drilling. I'm just going to take a Dremel with a cutoff wheel and just come in here and just try and get that off that way. So I'm going to do that. Okay, I've got my Dremel with the mini death wheel. I'm going to be, I've cleaned off a little bit of brake clean the end here so I can see the rivets good, and basically just going to try and grind off these rivets from over here. Let's see where we go. So I like these Dremel quick lock wheels, but make sure you've got a supply of replacements on hand, because you will go through. I just broke the center out of one, so I'm going to go to the next one. It was a fresh one that I had put on, so we're going to go to the next one. I'm over halfway done with the first one. I probably need to let it cool off a little bit, take more breaks in the cutting, and let it cool off. You could probably take like a flapper disc and grind it. I'm just trying to be a little bit more surgical on the cutting of this. Alright, there's one side. Hopefully that'll punch out, although I might have to grind it down just a little bit more. The other thing I could probably do actually is just cut. You could, no, you won't be able to cut that loose. But yeah. So it's a work in progress. Okay, so the second one I did a little better. The first I'm going to come back in with a Dremel grinder like that and just try to grind out the rest of that bolt, and then I'll just try and punch them through. Okay, ground off the top, have these left. There's the piece off there. What I'm trying to do is see if I can press these out. I don't know if it's possible or not, or if it's... They don't seem to want to go in, so I don't know if I gotta cut these off or drill these out. Anyway, that's what I'm working on right now, is figuring out where to get from here so that I can get the other piece on here. Alrighty, so we got those both off of there now. Roughed that up a bit more than I'd have liked, but now we will just kind of try and use these to kind of leverage them out here, because that's what I did on the other one. Alright, so I got one side out here. I'm just finishing up with the last one. Turns out you do have to go ahead and mar up this side. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So once I get this piece out, just finish grinding some more around here, and then using something to punch it out, push it out. Then I'm actually using these to just kind of, these needle nose vice grips to kind of help facilitate it. And then we can put the new one on. Okay, got the other one out. I'm now just going to take and put the grinder bit on, just flatten those out a little bit more, make them look a little prettier before I put all this back together. Okay, so we got this, the old piece all ground off. Now it's time to put this new piece together. This is the back side. This is the front side. It doesn't matter which way this goes on, because it will be This just had, well, I take that back. This goes towards the front, but it doesn't matter if you do it like this or like that is what I meant, because the shaft will be straightened out. So the new ones are bolt in, like so. So then you come in, put those on, and they come with lock nuts here. So you just tighten them on. Like so. Then you're going to tighten them. I don't think there's a torque spec. Just make sure you got the threads down below the nuts. And I'm going to do that now. I don't know if these are the same size as what they were. It was a 13 and a 15. Or, you know, sometimes you buy these kits and they got a metric. Looks like it might be the same size on both sides. Okay, 15 works. And looks like it's a 15 on both sides. Alright, so I'm going to go get a 15mm socket on my power wrench so I can do this quick. Thought 15 did it. 13, sorry. 13. My bad. Which, go right here. That's perfect. I think I got a 13. Ooh, well that ain't good. Alright, I'll have to do this one from this way. That actually might be a little too tight. Make it another 13 here so I can. Okay, so we got this on. Now to put it in, remember, you are going to need to take out this bolt right here. Keep it handy. It will be what is going down into the thing. Let's just check and make sure. Okay, it is a 13, so that is good. And we will take the steering shaft now. Now remember, the one was like this. So I'm going to set here, and we are going to come underneath of here, and you gotta kind of remember it does have a pivot point down there at the base, so we are going to need to mess with that some. Or does it? No, okay. So it's just got to go in there. So I'm going to put that in. Remember this, whichever way you had the bolt, I pulled mine out when I was over to the right here towards the driver's side. So that's why I'm going to put it back in. Your keyed slot is up at the top here. So you want that in. So we're going to put that in and then secure it with the bolt. Okay, so we got the new one in there, right there. I'm now going to put the new bolt in. Probably should put a little bit of Loctite on it. I will do that, and then we'll move to the top. Alright, the bolt is in there. Now we're just going to come over and we're going to push this thing back down here. We'll have to finagle it, the plastic cover piece. I'll finagle it back into where it's really going to go here in a little bit, but we really want to get this guy. Just goes up and you fish it right up into there. You can see. So you can get it right in there hole, and then it just this telescopically goes here, and then you're gonna put the weird screw and bolt back in, and then tighten it up. Okay, so just so you're aware, since there was play when you took this out, when you put the new one back on, it doesn't have play. Your steering wheel may not be, and it's locked, may not be exactly where it was before, because before it had maybe an inch of play. So I had to go in, unlock the steering wheel. You don't want the steering wheel to turn while you do that. You just go, and then you go into the engine bay, turn it by hand to align it with the upper side of the shaft, and then put the bolt through. Also put a little bit of PV blaster on it, and to help the shaft slide in easy. It shouldn't be hard, but you know, you don't want to mess anything up. But now I'm going to go clean up my hands. I'm going to go check the steering play. I think it's going to be resolved, and that should be it for this job. Okay, we're in the car now. If I unlock the steering wheel. Oh yeah, that is way more responsive. There was like a gap, and we can, let's see, do I have anything in there that's there we go. I am going to replace the fuel filter on this. Oh yeah, that's instant response from the wheels now. That play is gone. So basically, now we've tightened up all that suspension. We don't need to make any adjustments to the steering box. So we're going to call this job done. Put the front wheels back on this. Still got to get in alignment, because when you replace all the tie rod ends, ball joints, all that, you've got to do an alignment. And I did all this because this thing came with these new tires when we bought it, and I knew with the ball joints fried like they were, it would have wore these front tires out quickly. It wasn't worth, I knew it needed an alignment. It wasn't worth getting an alignment with the ball joints being old like they were. When I did the ball joints, found the tie rod ends were on the downside, so I went ahead and replaced those too. So now we're good with the whole front end. We replaced the steering coupler, so we've gotten all that play out of the steering. So this thing should drive very nice now after an alignment. Thank you for joining this episode of Lance's Garage. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and if you want to see things like this in the future.